I came back home feeling like a failure, but one visit to my ex's farm revealed the child my family hid from me for 6 years. I came back to town on a quiet evening, when the sky was soft and grey, like it hadn't decided whether to rain or cry. The air felt heavy, pressing against my chest as I drove down the narrow road. Every turn felt familiar, even though I hadn't been here in 7 years. Some places never forget you, no matter how hard you try to forget them. Mom's voice was still stuck in my head, repeating itself like a song I didn't want to hear. "Your sister's housewarming party was so lovely," she had said on the phone earlier that day. Her tone was light, almost cheerful. "When are you going to catch up?" Catch up. The words hurt more than she probably knew. Or maybe she knew exactly what she was doing. My sister had everything now: a new house, a good job, a family everyone praised. And me. I was the one who left. The one who disappeared. The one whose life always felt unfinished. That call was the reason I turned the car around. The reason I took time off work. The reason I was back in a town that still carried my old name in its dust. The road stretched ahead of me, cracked and uneven. The trees leaned close, as if they were whispering secrets to each other. I rolled the window down and let the cold air rush in. It smelled like soil and grass, like evenings from another life. For a second, my throat tightened. I hadn't planned to come here. I told myself I was done with the past. But the past doesn't ask permission. It waits. Quietly. Patiently. I slowed down as I reached the edge of town. Most places looked the same: small shops, faded signs, old houses with new paint that couldn't hide their age. I passed the school, the small grocery store, the empty cafe where we once shared coffee and dreams that felt endless. Then I turned onto the dirt road. My hands tightened around the steering wheel. At the end of that road stood the farm. Her farm. I parked near the old wooden gate, the paint chipped and peeling. It leaned slightly to one side, just like it always had. I remembered fixing that gate once, years ago, promising I would come back and finish the job properly. I never did. The engine went silent, but my heart didn't. It beat loud in my ears as I stepped out of the car. The ground crunched under my shoes. The air felt cooler here, calmer, like time moved slower around this place. I saw her near the field. She was standing among the crops, tying her hair back as the wind pushed loose strands across her face. The sun was low, casting a soft light over everything. She wore simple clothes, nothing fancy. She always preferred simple things. For a moment, I just stood there. 7 years vanished and came rushing back all at once. She looked different. Not worse. Just changed. Her shoulders seemed stronger, like life had placed weight on them and she learned how to carry it. There were lines on her face that weren't there before, especially around her eyes. Lines that spoke of long days and quiet nights. She noticed me then. Her body froze. Her hands stopped moving. Our eyes met, and the world narrowed to that single moment. No sound. No wind. Just the distance between us, filled with everything we never said. "You came back," she said at last. Her voice was calm, but I could hear something underneath it. Surprise. Maybe pain. Maybe both. "I didn't plan to," I replied honestly. My voice sounded rough, like I hadn't used it in a long time. "But here I am." She nodded slowly, as if she had expected this day but hoped it would never come. She walked closer, stopping a few steps away from me. Not close enough to touch. Not far enough to pretend we were strangers. Neither of us smiled. The silence stretched, thick and uncomfortable. 7 years sat between us, heavy and unmoving. The last time we stood face to face, we were shouting, crying, saying things we couldn't take back. I remembered that night clearly. The small house filled with anger. Her eyes red. My voice sharp. She asked me to stay. I told her I couldn't breathe here anymore. She said love should be enough. I said love wasn't paying the bills or fixing my fear of failing. I left before sunrise. Now I was standing in front of her again, older, tired, carrying regrets I never unpacked. "I heard about your sister," she said quietly, breaking the silence. "The new house." I looked away toward the field. "Yeah, big news." She hesitated, then added, "Your mother sounds proud." "She always is," I said, though my chest tightened when I said it. She studied my face, like she was trying to read the man I had become. Or maybe she was searching for the boy she once knew. "What brings you back?" she asked. I didn't answer right away. Because the truth was messy. Because saying my mother made me feel small felt weak. Because saying I don't know where I belong felt even worse. "I needed to see this place again," I said finally. "Needed to see you." Her eyes softened for just a second. Then she looked past me, toward the farmhouse. I followed her gaze. The house looked alive. Not abandoned. Not lonely. There were lights inside, warm and yellow. Curtains on the windows. A chair on the porch that hadn't been there before. Something about it made my chest feel strange. "You stayed," I said slowly. "You always said you wanted to leave this town." She gave a small smile, one that didn't reach her eyes. "I did." "What changed?" She didn't answer right away. The wind moved through the field, making a soft sound like breathing. "Life," she said at last. "Life changed." I nodded, even though I didn't fully understand. Or maybe I understood too well. We stood there as the sky darkened, two people connected by a past that refused to stay buried. I felt it then, a quiet, uneasy feeling in my gut. Something was different. Something I couldn't name yet. And whatever it was, I knew this visit wasn't going to end the way I imagined. She led me toward the old wooden bench near the edge of the field. The ground was uneven, and I watched my steps carefully, as if one wrong move might send me back 7 years again. The bench looked smaller than I remembered, worn smooth by time and weather. This was where we used to sit after long days, talking about dreams that felt possible back then. "Sit," she said softly. I did. For a moment, neither of us spoke. The wind brushed past us, carrying the smell of soil and dry grass. Somewhere far away, a bird called out. Everything felt too quiet, like the world was holding its breath. "You stayed," I said again, my voice lower now. "After everything, you stayed." She folded her hands in her lap. I didn't have much choice. "That's not true," I replied. "You were always braver than me. You said you wanted more." She let out a short, tired breath. I wanted a lot of things. I looked at her face, trying to read what she wasn't saying. There was a calmness there, but also something guarded, like she had built walls I didn't know how to climb anymore. "I left because I thought I was doing the right thing," I said. "I thought leaving would fix things." Her head turned sharply toward me. "You didn't leave to fix things," she said. "You left because you were scared." The words hit me harder than I expected. Not because they were cruel, but because they were true. I looked down at my hands. They were rough now, marked by years of work and travel. Back then, they were softer, less certain. I was scared, I admitted. Scared of staying. Scared of failing. Scared of becoming someone I didn't recognize. She nodded slowly. "And I was scared you'd never come back." That silence again. Heavy. Honest. "Why didn't you ever call?" I asked quietly. "Not once. 7 years, and not a single call." She stared straight ahead, her jaw tightening. "You changed your number." "That's not an excuse," I said. "You knew my parents. You knew where to find me." Her hands clenched. I tried. I turned to her. "What does that mean?" She swallowed. "I called your office. More than once. They said you were busy. I wrote letters." My chest tightened. "Letters?" "They were returned," she said. "Or ignored. I don't know which." I shook my head slowly. "That doesn't make sense." She finally looked at me then, her eyes shining with something sharp and painful. "You didn't want to be found," she said. "That's what your mother told me." The words landed between us like a crack in the ground. "My mother." I repeated. "She said you were building a future," she continued, her voice trembling now. "She said contacting you would only distract you. She told me to let you go." I felt a strange mix of anger and confusion rise in my chest. My mother always had strong opinions. Always believed she knew what was best. "She had no right," I said. "She had a lot of confidence," she replied bitterly. I leaned back on the bench, staring up at the darkening sky. Memories rushed in. My mother's disappointment when I chose this town, her relief when I left, her constant comparisons between me and my sister. Why didn't you fight harder? I asked, though part of me already knew the answer. She let out a sad laugh. I did. For a while. But when someone keeps telling you that you're standing in the way of another person's success, you start to believe it. I closed my eyes. Guilt pressed down on me, slow and heavy. I never meant to disappear forever, I said. I just needed time. Time has a way of changing things, she replied softly. I looked around then, really looked. The house behind us had small details I hadn't noticed before. A pair of tiny shoes near the door. A bright drawing taped inside the window, barely visible through the glass. My heart skipped. Do you have someone? I asked carefully. She stiffened. No, she said too quickly. Not married, I thought. Not living with anyone. But that didn't explain the shoes. Or the drawing. Then who? I started. She stood up suddenly. I need to check something inside. Her movement was rushed, almost panicked. She didn't look at me as she walked away. I watched her steps, quick and uneven, like she was running from something instead of toward it. The door creaked open, then closed. I stayed on the bench, my heart beating faster now. The farm felt different suddenly. Too quiet. Too full of questions. I tried to tell myself I was imagining things. That I was tired. Emotional. But the feeling in my chest wouldn't go away. Then I heard it. A laugh. Small. Light. Innocent. I froze. It came from inside the house. A child's laugh. My breath caught in my throat. I stood up slowly, my legs feeling weak. My mind raced through impossible explanations. Maybe she was babysitting. Maybe it was a neighbor's child. But deep down, something inside me already knew. The door opened again. She stepped outside, and this time she wasn't alone. She was holding a little boy. He couldn't have been more than 6 years old. His hair was dark and messy. His eyes were wide, curious, and painfully familiar. He clung to her shoulder, studying me like he was trying to understand who I was. I felt the world tilt. She walked toward me slowly, every step heavy with meaning. She stopped a few feet away, her arms tight around the child. This is, she began, then stopped. Her voice broke. I couldn't move. Couldn't speak. This is my son, she said at last. The words echoed in my head, loud and unreal. My son. Time seemed to stretch, then collapse all at once. Every memory, every unanswered question, every empty year rushed forward. He was born a few months after you left, she continued quietly. My knees almost gave out. I stared at the boy. At his eyes. My eyes. And in that moment, I understood why everything had felt off. Why she stayed. Why my mother pushed me away. Why the past never let me go. And I knew, without a doubt, that nothing would ever be the same again. The world went quiet. Not the kind of quiet where nothing exists, but the kind where everything exists at once and crashes into you. I couldn't hear the wind anymore. I couldn't feel the ground under my feet. All I could see was the little boy in her arms. My son. The words repeated in my head, slow and heavy, like they were learning how to exist. I took a small step forward without realizing it. My legs felt weak, like they didn't belong to me anymore. The boy watched me carefully, his arms wrapped around her neck. His eyes were dark and curious. Too familiar. How old is he? I asked, my voice barely a sound. She hesitated. 6. 6 years. I did the math even though I didn't need to. The truth had already settled deep in my chest, pressing the air out of my lungs. You never told me, I whispered. She tightened her hold on him. I tried. The anger rose suddenly, sharp and burning. Not at her. Not at the child. Somewhere deeper. You should have found me, I said. You should have made me listen. Her eyes filled with tears, but she didn't look away. I did everything I could, she said. I showed up at your parents' house. Your mother answered the door. My heart sank. She told me you had moved on, she continued. She said you were finally doing something important with your life. She said a baby would only pull you backward. Each word cut deeper than the last. She told me, she went on, her voice shaking now, That if I truly loved you, I would stay quiet. That I would not destroy your future. I felt sick. My mother's voice echoed in my memory. Always calm. Always certain. Always choosing what she thought was best, even when it wasn't hers to choose. She told me not to contact you again, she said. She said you didn't want to hear from me. I ran a hand through my hair, pacing a few steps away. My chest felt tight, like it might break open. All those years, I blamed myself for leaving. I blamed her for staying silent. I blamed life for moving on without me. But the truth was darker, cleaner, crueler. They made the choice for me. I stopped and looked at the boy again. He shifted slightly, resting his head on a shoulder, still watching me. Not afraid. Just curious. What's his name? I asked. She swallowed. Daniel. The name hit me like a memory I never lived. I nodded slowly. He looks like you, she said softly. Especially when he's thinking. I almost laughed. Almost cried. I missed everything, I said. His first steps. His first words. All of it. Yes, she replied quietly. You did. There was no anger in her voice. Just truth. I reached into my jacket pocket then, my fingers brushing against the edge of the envelope I'd been carrying all day. I didn't know why I brought it with me. Maybe part of me knew this moment was coming. I pulled it out and held it in my hands for a moment before speaking. I came back feeling like a failure, I said. Like I had nothing to show for my life. My sister has a new house. My mother talks about her like she's proof that everything went right. She listened silently. I thought I was behind, I continued. Like I needed to catch up. I looked at Daniel again. At the way he leaned into her. Safe. Loved. But now I see, I said. I wasn't behind. I was kept away. Her eyes widened slightly. I opened the envelope and held it out to her. Inside were documents. Proof of where I work now. Proof of stability. Of responsibility. Not wealth. Not success by my mother's standards. But enough. I'm not here to take him from you, I said quickly. I would never do that. You raised him. You protected him. Tears slid down her cheeks. I'm here because I deserve to know my son, I said. And he deserves to know me. Daniel shifted, his small fingers gripping her shirt. He leaned forward slightly, studying my face. You're tall, he said suddenly. The sound of his voice broke something inside me. I smiled despite myself. I've been told. She let out a shaky breath. What do you want? She asked. I thought of my mother. Of the phone call. Of her pride in my sister. Of the way she erased this part of my life so easily. I want honesty, I said. And I want time. Nothing more. Nothing less. I knelt slowly so I was closer to Daniel's height. My heart felt like it might burst. Hi, I said gently. I'm someone who should have been here a long time ago. He looked at me for a long second, then nodded. Okay. That was it. No fear. No questions. Just acceptance. I stood up again, wiping my face with the back of my hand. I'll come back tomorrow, I said to her. If that's okay. She nodded. Tomorrow is fine. I took a step back, then another. Walking away felt impossible, but I knew this wasn't something to rush. Some truths need space to breathe. As I reached my car, my phone buzzed in my pocket. Mom. Her name filled the screen. For a moment, my hand hovered. Old habits tried to pull me back. Explain. Apologize. Make peace. Then I looked back at the house. At the warm light in the window. At the child I never knew existed. I silenced the call. The road ahead was dark, but for the first time in years, I knew exactly where I was going. And I was done trying to catch up to people who stole my place in my own life.